but I will try my level best that I'm able to deliver what I intend to do that. And I really don't want myself to impose upon you immediately that as soon as the madam has introduced me with the crisp introduction of mine, I really don't want that, I should really bombard you with lot of, content on research. So what I do is like I will start sharing my PPT, but prior to that, what I want is like that's a part of the PPT. Let's have a look at it. Is my presentation visible, madam?
Yes, ma'am. The presentation is visible.
All right, all right. So others can hear me.
Ma'am, you're audible, ma'am.
No,
You're
no, I
audible.
want others also, ma'am. I know you can hear me, I can hear you, but I want others also to get little interactive. Otherwise, it's gonna be a little difficult task. So I'll just shut my presentation for a while. Just a minute, ma'am. All right. So, my dear friends, I really don't want myself to impose you as I just reiterated. So, let's have a small round of introduction of each other because we will be here together for 1 hour. And I would like to know who is from where or which department or anything which you would like to share with us. Because, having that ice breaking session with each other, it's always beneficial because it helps us to get into a better camaraderie, and then we are able to get connected with each other. So I would like anyone to start off, or you want me to take out the names? Anyone who would like to give the introduction? Yes, please.
Hello, Dr. Rakhi. I'm Dr. Ankita from GL Bajaj Institute of Management,
Uh-huh.
from Management Department only.
Okay, ma'am. Which page are you are from which place, Ankita madam?
Basically, I'm from Himachal, ma'am,
Okay, and you're working?
in Greater Noida.
You're working in Greater Noida. With which institute, ma'am? I missed that.
Yeah, it's GL Bajaj, ma'am.
GL Bajaj. Okay, okay, okay.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, welcome to the session, madam. Welcome.
Thank
Okay,
you, ma'am.
yes. Yes, please. Yes, Shukla sir. Good afternoon. I can see your hand raised.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good
Myself, Dr. Panin Shukla, professor in community medicine, HOD of the department from
afternoon.
Motiwala National Homeopathic Medical College, Nasik, Maharashtra.
Wow, this is so nice. So we've got somebody from Nasik also. Sir, I visited as a resource person to a place known as Sinnar in Maharashtra.
Yeah, Sinnar is nearby area. Nearby, it is just hardly 27 kilometers from this place.
Ha, ha. So
Yeah,
I flew till Mumbai, then I took a train to Nasik, and then those people they came to receive me for Sinnar. So
yeah,
wonderful.
ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. Thank you very much for your now today's presentation. Thank you.
Sir, I have not yet started with my presentation. How is it
Yeah,
all?
yeah, yeah, I know, but it's so honor, to have you on this occasion, and while going through the introduction, we come to know the depth what we are going to get. That is why I say thank you
Oh,
for.
I just hope that I'm able to live up to our expectations, sir. I just hope that I'm able to do that, because at times when people have too much of expectations, and then if it rattles down, then one feels bad. So don't have expectations. I will be trying my level best to put it across.
Definitely, we will try to learn from our perspective. We are from the medical field. We will try to learn from our perspective also. Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, thank you. Welcome, welcome, sir. Welcome. You're welcome. All right. Who else, sir? Okay, we've got a lot of other people joining us. Okay. Who else would like to introduce themselves? It's always a good platform to get introduction of each other. It's because our relation may not be just confined to this particular presentation, but of course, academic is something where we can always have big and big and big network. All right. So we've got Dr. M. Maria Soroja, madam. Can you hear me? Okay. Vishal, sir?
Yes, ma'am. I'm Dr. Maria,
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Ignatius College of Education. I'm the research director and the IQAC coordinator of our institution. It is an autonomous institution.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Which place, madam?
From Tamil Nadu, ma'am. So I'm eagerly waiting for your presentation, ma'am.
Oh, is it?
From Tamil Nadu.
Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu,
Yeah.
which place, madam?
Palayamkottai, Tirunelveli, southern part of Tamil Nadu, ma'am. Southern part
Oh,
of Tamil Nadu.
all right, all right. So this is so nice having you on this platform today, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Welcome to the session. All right. Vishal sir, can you hear me? Okay. Then anyone else? There are other also who have joined us. It's like Vanathi madam. Okay. Navyuduri Usha Rao madam. Okay. Hoshos. All right. Anyone else who would like to volunteer and get themselves introduced to this group? We've got GBNP, somebody joining with this name. Okay. Kalpana madam. Pratibha madam. Yes, Kalpana madam. Yes.
Yes, madam.
Yes, sir. So just
I am Dr. Prasad. I am Dr. Prasad from Motiwala Homeopathic Medical College, Nasik, Maharashtra.
All right.
I am in anatomy department.
All right, sir. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Right, sir. Okay. Somebody else also unmuted themselves. Pratibha. Yes, Kalpana madam. Yes.
Hello, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Ma'am, I am Deepika.
Yes, madam.
I am a research scholar, ma'am. I am waiting to see your presentations.
Okay. Yes, yes,
Hello.
I can hear you, madam. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I am a research scholar from Commerce Department.
From Commerce Department.
Yes,
Which
ma'am.
part? You're from which part, madam? Kalpana, madam? Okay, I think some problem is there. All right. So anyone else would like to give the introduction or shall I just start? So it's so nice to have people from Nasik, from GL Bajaj to Tamil Nadu. So it's all pan-India that we are connected with each other. All right. So anyone else who would like to give the introduction, it's okay. Otherwise, we begin up with the presentation. So once again, I just hope that I'm able to live up to the expectation of my August audience. And then, we can proceed. All right. Just a minute. All right. So the topic that I have been entrusted with the today to deliver, it's on basically research ethics that I'm going to talk about. And it says that it's a comprehensive guide for all the masters and the doctoral students. But it is not necessary that only the doctoral students, they need to understand about the ethics. But however, we as faculty members from academic fraternity, we also have a big responsibility of ongoing research. And then at times we forget about our ethics. That is why it is one of the most pertinent topic that we have today, and I have been delivering on this topic on various platforms and of course for IoT Academy as well. So once again, I hope that I'm able to live up to your expectation. So it says that a smile is a handshake with your face. So since we are all connected online with each other, so there goes a big smile from my side to everyone who has joined from the various parts of the country. And basically, I wanted to know people are from a medical background, people are from commerce background, and others also who have joined, and they have not given their introduction because of any reason. But whosoever it is, no matter if we are in academia, we are supposed to do research and we are supposed to follow certain ethics which people actually generally forget. So I just hope that we should be aware about the various integrities which are related with the research. Maybe it's with any field, whether it is medical, whether it's computer, whether it's legal, or whether it's personal, so on and so forth. So I wanted to have an ice-breaking session. So we've already done. So it's so nice to see people, different doctors, honorable doctors, and the research scholars joining us. Now, let me start with this simple concept. Now, it says that what is ethics and what is research. Now, we exactly know that research is something where we are going deep down. We are delving into the various aspects of any particular topic, particular problem, or we are trying to establish something, or we are trying to prove something which is already done. We know there are different kind of researches that are done, and we have also done research. We are doing research, and we will be doing a lot of research in future also. And basically, when we talk about research ethics, now ethics basically means that we are applying certain ethical principles to our research activities. Our research activities have never stopped. Maybe in times since time immemorial, we know that research has been on and on and on, and it is still on and on and on, and it will be on and on and on. So actually, when we are talking about the research ethics, basically it's done nothing but it's just the applicability of certain principles that have to be kept in mind while we design, while we implement our research. Now, why are we talking about this ethics? Because we owe certain responsibility towards the society, towards the respondents, towards the stakeholders, and of course, towards our own self also, that what kind of research we are doing it. We have certain resources, we have got certain research outputs, and in the process of research we understand the importance of research ethics. Now ethics is nothing but, in normal parlance, if I ask you what is the meaning of ethics, so ethic is nothing but it is just a combination of A and B. Now when I talk about A and B is nothing, it's just the actions and the behaviors that we have. Like whatever action we are doing it, we are following certain ethics. Whatever behavior we are exhibiting, now whichever behavior we are exhibiting, again we are following certain kind of ethics. And basically ethics is nothing but it's just a branch of philosophy where we are studying the human behavior, its action, and deciding what is right, what is wrong. And of course we are doing, it's a combination of lot many other things. For example, it could be related with the rules and regulations, it could be related with moral choices, it could be related with moral values, it could be related with A and B. A and B is basically our actions and our behavior. And of course it's just the philosophy of an ideal life, that what we should do and what we should not do. So ethics is like something which can come up anywhere. If you just open your eyes, see around the world, and we find whether even if it is a rickshaw wala also, he is also following some ethics. If it is a computer software professional, he is also following certain ethics. If we people from academia, we are also following ethics. Everyone is following ethics. So this ethic word is an indispensable part of our lives, and we should understand the importance of ethics. And basically ethic is nothing but it is more of a respect that we are giving to the various stakeholders. Now these stakeholders, they could be related to the different field and different areas. Now, as it has been rightly said that the ethics definition is a branch of philosophy which tell us what is good, what is bad. It's an obligation that we have towards others. Others are nothing but they are the stakeholders. For example, if you're from management side or commerce side, so your stakeholders would be your your shareholders, your employees, your customers, your bankers, your government authorities, so on and so forth. If you're from medical field, then your stakeholders would be comprising of your patient, their guardians, maybe the people from medical, or maybe MR, or maybe the government authorities, the people, the staff, the teaching fraternity, non-teaching fraternity. So these are all the stakeholders that we have got. So ethics is nothing but it's just a kind of an obligation that we have from within, which tells us that what is right and what is wrong, and what we should do and what we should not do. So basically ethics comes from within. It actually comes from within. Now in different parlance we find that there are different kind of ethics that have been defined. They can be some kind of a meta ethics, they can be some kind of a normative ethics, they can be some kind of applied ethics. Now when we are talking about this meta ethics, it tells us what our moral values are. For example, as I told you that what are the things which are included in ethics is something related with the rules and regulation. It could be related with the moral choices. It could be related with the moral values. For example, if I tell you that as a person you should always control your speed when we are going on road. But how many of us have actually broken the traffic rules? So that's a big question. So if I ask you that have you ever broken any of the traffic rules, I'm sure everyone who's on this platform, we have broken the rules, including me also. But actually, if anybody asks me that have you ever broken the rules, we will immediately say no, we have not broken. But ideally, from within, we know that we should not break the rules. Now, I'll give you a small example. For example, if there is a CEO of the company, can you all hear me? Hello?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Right. Thank you so much. For example, if I tell you there is a CEO of the company, right? Now, CEO is supposed to be the leader of the company, and whatever actions he is doing, it is actually replicated by its team members. Now, if on one side there is a meeting which has to be attended by the CEO of the company, and he has got late by chance, so if he breaks the traffic signals, is it right? Or if he reaches for the meeting late, is it right or wrong? Now, here comes the dilemma that in case if he speeds up his car, he is breaking the traffic rules. If he doesn't speeds up his car, he would get late for his meeting. So here the ethics is again, it's a decision of an individual to decide what is right, what is wrong. So here the CEO of the company is in a fix that in case if he speeds up, he's going to break the traffic rules, which is ethically wrong. But in case if he reaches for the meeting late, again, it is going to be ethically wrong. So the choice is in our hands, right? So the ball is in our court and we have to decide what is right and what is wrong. So meta ethics basically tells us about the scope of the moral values. Our values is such that no, we are not going to break the traffic rules. That means, okay, I may get late for the meeting, but I will not break the traffic rules. On the other hand, the person may think, if it is on their personal value, okay, if even if I have to break the traffic rule, but I should not get late for the meeting. So the here meta ethics actually talks about the moral values that one has or the scope of it. Then we have the normative ethics, which tells us what is to be done, what is to be done or what not is to be done. For example, if I ask you, if you are going on the road and all of a sudden you see an accident. Now, if you see an accident, so the moral would be what should be done. There may be person who may just pass by. There may be person who may stop their vehicle and help the ailing person who has just met with an accident. Or it could be anybody who could immediately tell the police about the accident. So this is something which is ought to be done. So again, it is an individual call. So this is something which is related with the personal ethics. For example, if you are going to a departmental store, and if you're picking up things, and if you just pick up an item, you just see the thing and you just keep it back as it was kept. On the other hand, you just pick up the items and you just put it haywire here and there, or just crumble it on the floor. So this is again the matter of ethic, what has to be done or what not has to be done. For example, for anything which is related with gossiping, people feel that, okay, we are in the informal environment, we should sit and gossip. So again, this gossiping is again a matter of ethics. Whether is it good for you to speak negative about somebody who's not in front of you, or do just talk about anything which comes to anybody's mind. So this is again a matter of your ethics that we talk about. Now, for example, in case if you're going on the road, and again, if you find a wallet, or even if you find a 5 rupee note, so is it your personal ethics, is it your moral value that whether you should pick it up or throw it, keep it back? Or in case if you find a bunch of keys lying somewhere on the floor, what do? You keep it in your pocket, you report it to the police, you give it to the nearby person, or you see the address and try to locate the person. So again, this is all the matter of normative ethics that we have, that what should be done, that is your call that has to be taken. Now, in the case of this, what should be done? It could be something related with honesty. It could be related with anger. It could be related with greed. It could be anything which is related with your ego, anything which is related with your carelessness. Is it good for you to be careless when you are at work? Is it good enough that you should do a misconduct activities in the workplace? That means it could be related with fighting, quarreling, drinking, sleeping, using foul language, so on and so forth. So again, this is a personal call which tells us about the normative ethics, that what ought to be done. Then third one comes basically the applied ethics. This is something which is of our importance. That is, it is related with the specific areas like maybe people from humanities and social sciences, from medical, and so on and so forth. I'm sure people have joined from medical also. They could well relate with this. I'm basically from social science. So, I just wanted to bring out a difference between the clinical and the social science research. So, as far as the clinical research is concerned, again, it is something, where you're using your equipments, you are trying to conduct various tests. And then whenever in the clinical research, any kind of test which is being done, so we definitely keep in mind the safety aspects, we keep in mind the side effects, we actually keep in mind, like in case if we are rendering any experiment on any animal, so we take into consideration what are the safety precautions that one has to undertake. Or we can always talk about the best doses, how much dose has to be given. Or in case if you're talking about anything which comes up, anything new. So here this clinical research is actually nothing but again it's kind of a treatment or options that we are trying to locate basically, by implementing various kind of tests. Whereas in our social science research, there can be different kind of research that can be done. The normal procedure is that okay, we talk about a particular problem, we understand, we go, we take care of the literature review. Literature review is nothing but the kind of work which has already been done by the previous authors. And then it could be related with that we are trying to identify the gap, then we are trying to find the objectives, then make the hypothesis, then the data collection, then the application of various tests, and then the results are out. So basically either it is clinical research, whether it is your social science research, there can be different phases of conducting the research. But however, one thing remains common, and that common thing is that we have to be very, very careful about the ethics. The ethics would remain, the parameters of ethics may change, but ethics have to be followed either in clinical or social science research. So these are the basically the steps which are involved in the clinical and the social science research, where we have got, now if you are trying to find up any antidote to any disease, so we are conducting trials on various people or maybe on animals, and then then we are trying to find out that how effective that dose is. And whereas in the social science research, it is all starts with the problem identification and it ends with the data collection along with the report writing. Now in the case of scientific research also, like it could be like the research, again we are finding anything which is original, anything which is logical, and we are using our critical ability to identify the various approaches to the research, and we are trying to establish some kind of relationship between cause and effect relationship that can be generalized on somebody. For example, if I tell that people from Punjab, they are very healthy, and they are more suited for army personnel, so it is not possible for me to go for the entire set of people. So I may pick up a small sample, and of course there are different sampling techniques that can be applied, and then on the basis of the sampling, whatever result we have got through sample, we can actually generalize it. So that is one of the features of our scientific research. Now what I would like to do with everyone, I hope that whosoever is listening to me, I would like you to pick up a pen and paper, and whether I know that you have now you know what is the meaning of ethics actually, and we have discussed three kind of ethics, that is the meta ethics, normative ethics, and the applied ethics. Now meta ethics is basically, again, it talks about the facts, what is right, what is wrong. Normative is again, it is everything is in your hand to decide whether we should do it, whether should we not do it, what is right, what is wrong. And applied ethics is basically where an action is being, so either it could be related with business, it could be related with decision, it could be related with professional, it could be related with organizational ethics, it could be related with social ethics, it could be related with any other kind of ethics, including the clinical ethics. Now, what I would like to you all to do is that in just a span of 2 minutes, you have to write 5 good ethics and 5 bad ethics. Whatever comes to your mind, it could be related with anything. It could be related with personal ethics, it could be related with professional ethics, it could be related with social ethics, it could be related with your organizational ethics, whichever ethics you can think of. Just in 2 minutes of time, I would like you to jot down what are the 5 good ethics that you can think of as of now, and what are 5 bad ethics that you can think of. So it's like in the case of ethics also, my dear friends, as I told you that there can be different ethics. For example, it can be business, environmental, so on and so forth. So I'll discuss a little more about it, but I want to know about you, what are the 5 good ethics and 5 bad ethics? Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. I'll give you 2 minutes of time, sir and madam. Also, all those who are there, just jot down and then we discuss on that very quickly. Are we done? Are we through? Or you need some more time? All right, can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, so anyone, Shukla sir, you would like to start?
I could write 5 basic ethics, positive ethics, that is taking care of the patients with the love and compassion,
Very good.
obeying, obeying the rules and the law of the land,
Look of
helping them.
land.
Land means our country,
Acha, okay.
helping the
Hmm.
helping the needy people, especially the old people,
Okay.
helping during the crisis, like the people were there in COVID-19,
Very
and
good.
not to extra charges and fine, the this charges fees from the patients.
Correct. All right, very good. One more to go.
And in research, we should not try to copy, the someone's this intellectual. Otherwise, it will be a violation of intellectual property right.
All right, you're talking
So,
about plagiarism, right?
not plagiarism.
Right. So anything negative? Negative ethics? Any
Negative, if
Hmm.
we can, if we will turn it into negative, the same thing we can be negative also. So not taking care of patients and
Okay.
tough with the patients, and then not obeying the rules and regulations of our country. People, usually they follow the rules of other countries when they're going in their country, but in our country they are not obeying the rules.
Absolutely.
Helping them. Yeah, sometimes people find some needy person is there, but they just ignore them, and they are busy. They are showing right, and yes, in COVID-19 also we could find out some doctors ran away and they shut down their doors, and same thing, that is how we can go with.
Okay,
And
one.
you'll find the hospitals and the doctors, and there are corporate hospitals. They are charging too much to the patients, which is not affordable to the patient.
Absolutely.
Thank
And especially during the time of COVID, people were a little hard pressed with a lot of money also.
you.
Correct. Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. So anyone else who has written 5 good and 5 negative ethics? Saroja, madam, can you hear me? Okay. Who else has written? I want to know your view of point. I don't want it to have just one-sided affair, a session of one-side affair. Ankita? All right. All right. So anyone else? Let me see who's active as of now. Whoso is active, they can unmute themselves just to let me know. Kirti? Mansi? Sir, am I audible or no?
Yes,
Hello.
ma'am.
Yes. Ankita, have you written any
Yes,
five
yes,
negative?
yes,
Huh? Yes,
yes,
tell me. Five
yes.
negative.
Like give right guidance. Don't misguide the students.
Right, okay. Hmm. Very good.
And same plagiarism.
Hmm. Okay.
Don't copy.
Don't copy.
And
What else you can think of in your personal life as a personal ethics, or maybe as a professional ethics, or maybe as a business ethics, anything related with your companies? You are from commerce, think about it, like from the company point of view, you know, just
be honest. Honesty.
honesty. Okay, good. One has to be honest in their attempts. Very good. And
Mm,
anyone else? Hmm. Anything negative which you can think of? It is prevalent in our society. Ideally, it should not be. Anything which you can think of? I can see a lot of people joining. Ankita, anything related with the corporate world, beta?
uh,
Anything which you do, you people they do in public, but we do not relish it. That is also a part of your ethics. Anything related with the companies, anything related with the personal. Okay, no issues. I will tell you myself. For example, there can be different kind of positive ethics and the negative ethics. For example, there should not be kind of misguidance. There should not be any kind of plagiarism. However, there should be some kind of honesty. Or for example, if we talk from the point of view of the corporate companies also, then there should not be any falsification, misguidance to the customers. Even if we are doing any research in related with any aspect, maybe even if you're going for an interview also, the company people, they're expected to be very true to you. They should not make any false promises. There should not be any false advertisements. There should not be any kind of smoking in the public places. There should not be any violence. There should not be any negative thoughts. There should not be any bribery, so on and so forth. So these are actually just the examples of our some positive ethics and some negative ethics. Now, in case if we think about the positive ethics, we can find number of positive ethics that can be related with our personal life, related with our professional life, and related with the company also. Now, what is more important is that whenever we are making any kind of promises, it is very, very essential that we keep our promises. As rightly said by Dr. Shukla sir, that we should not charge exorbitantly from the patient who are unable to make the payments. We should follow the rules and regulation, help the needy people, take care of the potential customers or the clients. So, of course, these are the positive aspect, but negative things are also a part of our normal day-to-day life also. Anything which is related with the environment, anything which is related related with our ecosystem, anything which is related with our living beings, anything which is related with our personal life. For example, if you have, as I gave you the example, helping people, being compassionate, having that kind of integrity, having that kind of loyalty. So this is all are part of ethics. Now, for example, if I tell you about the ethics also, if like if there can be at times, there can be some kind of situational ethics also. Killing people is something which is against the ethics. But killing a person who has done a very highest crime, and there is a mass murder, so killing of that kind of a person, you feel that okay, this is a part of our ethics, and we are perfectly fine in doing that activity. So this activity, actually, I wanted to find out what could be the certain positive ethics, and what could be some negative ethics. In the case of our teaching ethics, it could be related, it could be direct ethics, indirect ethics, it could be related with our plagiarism, it could be related with our paragraph writing, or maybe self plagiarism, or violation of the copyright, or the IPR, that is the intellectual property rights. So we this is something which is not actually accepted. So any kind of research we have, it has a responsibility of towards the institution, towards the individuals, towards the society, towards the different kind of stakeholders that we have. So this is very essential, because ideally ethic is something which is defining a relationship between people and the society. So in the case of research, since we are talking about the research, we find out that who are the people who are going to take part in our research, keeping in mind their human dignity, not asking too much of personal question, not humiliating them, not sidelining them, so on and so forth. And when we're talking in terms of a society, it could be like, any kind of research we are doing, it should not have any conflict of interest. There is a proper social responsibility. There is a proper dissemination of the research. So once we talk about the objectives of our research ethics, of course, basically it is to guard the and protect the human participants. Ultimately, you have to understand that whenever the research is being done, either you will be doing it from your primary data, or you will be doing it from the secondary data. If it is from the primary data, so naturally, you have to collect data from a wide, diverse group of people. So we have to be quite sympathetic, we have to be quite empathetic towards those people who are going to give us the data, and especially those who are vulnerable, for somebody who's very poor, somebody who's very feeble, or somebody who has been a victim of very heinous crimes, so on and so forth. So we have to have that kind of compassionate feelings also. And then the second objective is to ensure that the research which we are doing, it is for the welfare of the people, of the society on the whole, not for our own personal interest. And then the third objective is that we should be very, very careful about the reliability. The research that we are doing, there should not be any kind of falsification or misappropriation of the data. And my dear friends, in inverted comma, the most important thing is that we have to ensure that we do not make any payment for the data collection. We do not bribe anybody. For one of the negative ethics is bribing also. No, if we are bribing somebody, that means we are not following our ethics. So bribing somebody to give us the data, that is also not acceptable. And definitely we have to be very, very careful about the vulnerable population. It could be anybody from like minors, it could be the minority groups, it could be some kind of mentally retarded people, or people who are in prisoners, or maybe people who have got those chronic diseases, like HIV or AIDS, so on and so forth. So once we're doing that kind of research with them, we have to be very, very careful about the way we are doing it. So our objective is not to make them offend, or not to make them feel guilty of anything. So these research ethics, again, I told you, there's nothing but it's just the guidelines which help us in carrying out our activities. Now, in the research process, we already know the difference between the clinical research and the social science research. So definitely, these are six, the considerations that we have to take care. Firstly, it is the conceptualization, the design of the study, how we are going to identify the people, how we are going to identify the risks that are associated. And we know that there is a risk, but we cannot ask anyone just for your own personal interest that you just go and take up that risk and bring the data for us. For example, all these news anchors, they go to the war hit areas and they actually risk their life in giving us the data. So that is ethically, they may not be correct, but they are being given so much of money. That is one consideration, or could be out of their own individual passion that they are going to such risky areas. Then we have to understand that people who are in our research, they are well informed about our research objectives. What is the research? Why are we doing it? Where are we going to use the data? How the data is going to be utilized? All those things, they should be crystal clear in the minds of our stakeholders. So that once it is clear, there can be some kind of freedom and independent, in the minds of the people. Okay, we know why the data is being collected. Then we once we have a right set of people, they should be there should be some kind of informed consent. Okay, I am not taking the data just because I want to get it and you have to give it to me. No, it has to be like, I need some data. If you're willing to give me, sure, share that data, please do it. And then again, the confidentiality has to be maintained in terms of the data which is done. For example, we've got certain research scholars also with us. We every now and then we keep on getting a messages on the WhatsApp, that I'm doing a research, kindly help me to fill out this questionnaire. The data would be kept confidential. It is purely for the academic purpose, or so on and so forth. So people have to be taken into confidence before we go ahead and approach them. So this is one of the ethics that has to be followed by the researcher or as a supervisor as well. And once the results and the data interpretation is done, the results are out, it has to be for the benefit of the society. Now, this ethics evolution actually dates back to 384 BC, during the time of Aristotle, or maybe during the time of our mythological gurus, during the time of our epics, Ramayana or Mahabharata. At those times were also not the ethics were followed, and those at that time the ethics were followed more rigorously. For example, if we talk about Purushottam Ramchandra ji, so he was a man of ethics. He never did anything which was against ethics. So ethic word is nothing new, and it dates back to the long ages that have gone long back. So it is right from the Indian society, Gautam Buddha also, Socrates also, and of course, in 17th, 18th centuries, the ethics revolution dates back to very old ages. Even if we talk about Indian scenario, it's what Mahatma Gandhi, he was himself a very ethical person. Anything which he said, okay, we believe in non-violence. So ethic is not only involved in research, but however, the ethic is related with everything. It could be computer ethics, it could be engineering ethics, it could be legal ethics, it could be business ethics, medical ethics. All those ethics, they have to be taken into consideration. Now, why is it necessary that we have to be concerned with the research ethics? Firstly, it is the professional responsibility. As a professional person, we have to be very careful that we do not do anything for the benefit of an individual. It has to be a kind of a societal benefit. Even as a researcher, if we write a research proposal for ICCSR or maybe UGC or maybe for DST, for any organization, the immediate thing that they will look forward to your proposal is how much it is beneficial for the society. They will not look at how much it is beneficial for an individual, but how much it is beneficial for the entire society. So in the case of professional responsibility, it is like the entire society has to get benefited. Then why are we concerned with the research ethics? To avoid any kind of reputational damage. This is a very important aspect. We do different kind of branding, my dear friends. It's a self branding also, and once there's a dent in the brand that you have built up, the everything topples down very badly. Even if a company has done it, like for example, there have been so many companies which have been shut down. For example, Daewoo Motors, or maybe Nokia, they used to be the giant companies. They have been all been shut down. Reason being, because something has gone somewhere, something which has actually dented their image. So even if we are doing any kind of research, it is very essential that as a brand individual, as a brand in group, as a brand in organizational, there should not be any dent against anyone. Then we have to be careful about the research ethics, because there are so many stakeholders. All these people who are participants, researcher, institutions, communities, they are known as the stakeholders. So anything, if one rotten apple makes the entire basket stink, right? So we have to be very careful in case if anything goes wrong at one point of time, the ripples can be, the bad ripples or the repercussions can be felt in the entire organization, in the entire community. So that is why research ethics have to be taken into consideration. And of course, to avoid any kind of legal legislation also, now there are different ethics committees which have come up, and these ethic committees, they can take action against you, or they can take action against the organization individually, or the or the institution. So we have to be very, very careful that we don't do anything which is actually unethical. For example, they can be, like institutional ethic review boards, which are boards which are actually responsible to see that what kind of research you are doing it, and it is not doing anything which is bad for everyone. So ethical, and of course, keeping in mind there are different kind of ethical stories and the theories which have actually come up. For example, I'll just give you a small example. People, again, they are in a fix. For example, if there's an advocate, and an advocate, if you're doing any research, for example, on an advocate, so advocate has a ethic that he should do something which is right and wrong. So he knows that his client is a victim, and his client is a culprit. I stand corrected. His client is a culprit. But as since he is an advocate to the client, he will just reverse the things, and he will swing the things in such a way that the order comes in favor of his client. But ideally, he knows that ethically what he is doing, he is that is not correct. So, in such kind of situation, again, the ball is in your court to decide what is right and what is wrong. So, in order to avoid lot of legislations in research, we have to be careful that we do not do anything just to grind our own purpose. So, for example, ethics in the treatment of the respondents, we have to be very, very careful that people who are giving us the data, they have the right to privacy, they have the right to choose, they have the right to safety, and right to be informed. This is very, very essential. They have to be informed. Why are we doing the research? What will be the outcome? Who are the people who will be affected? Where are you going to use the data? So all this is very, very essential, because at whosoever are the respondents, also even their reputation is at some way or the stake. So at times, there may be people who may be judged harshly. There may be people who may not be judged harshly. There may be some intransparency. There may be some kind of partiality. So these are all part of our unethical behavior that we expect. Now, as the principles of the research ethical, these are the principles. For example, we have got anything which is related with honesty. We have to be very, very careful about the honesty, that the data that we have, we use it in the right perspective. We do not manipulate the data and the results, or maybe the methods or the procedures. We do not fabricate anything, falsify any data. For example, my dear friends, if you remember, it was the debacle of the Satyam computers. So why did Satyam computer debacle? The reason was very simple, because they were not honest with their data. They showed their reserves as very high, and at the reason, and their chartered accountant power Coopers, what they did was, like, they showed the figures very exorbitantly, and seeing those figures, people invested their monies, and ultimately there was nothing, and there was a debacle of the Satyam computers. So ethically, they were not correct. They were not honest with their data. They were not honest with their methods and the procedures and the results as well. Then there could be anything which is related with the integrity. Integrity is something where you keep your promises. For example, if you promise your respondent that your data will not be divulged. For example, if you are asking anybody, the most vulnerable people, for example, if you are interviewing or getting data from anyone who has been a victim of rape, or maybe some victim of some domestic violence, and you promise the people that, okay, I'm not going to divulge the data, but later on, you make everything viral. So this is not the part of your integrity. So those are not the part of the research ethical principle. Then there can be some, as we can all see, that it has to be confidential. There has to be, in the confidentiality has to be maintained, the privacy has to be maintained. There's always a kind of a social responsibility. Like, we have the responsibility of doing some social good, and follow certain social laws, maybe through maybe through public education, or maybe through advocacy. So a lot of companies, they are involved in CSR activities, trying to do good for the public on the whole. Then there could be anything which is related with the dignity. Dignity is again related if if your reputation is good, then people may not judge you badly. But if your reputation is little bad, then no matter, even if you are good also, people will be judging you harshly because of your past unethical behaviors. So that integrity and reputation is plays a very, very important role even in the research also. So there can be some kind of autonomy, privacy, confidentiality, justice. All these things, they have to be kept in mind whenever we are doing research in our in one respective field. So these are the words which I just discussed with you. Anything which is related with our honesty, integrity, objectivity. Basically, objectivity relates to that, everyone has the right to participate in the research, and whichever research we are doing it, people, they should be well informed as to why we are doing it. Then respect for the respondent. We have to be very, very respectful. But my dear friends, we have to be doubly cautious towards the most vulnerable group of people. It could be related with minors, it could be related with some kind of victims, or maybe the prisoners, or maybe the minority groups, SC/ST class. So many are things that we have to keep in mind. So we have to be very careful that we don't offend them in any regard, because whenever we are doing any research, it is expected that there is a sign of respect, and it should not cause any harm to any of the participants who are a part of our data collection. Then we have got something which is known as the beneficence. That means that we should maximize the benefit of the participants, that like, we do not have to harm them. Just for our own purpose, we are not going to do anything which can actually offend them very badly. For example, if anybody does anything, so we are going to reprimand him or scold him in front of everybody. So this is something which is actually not expected out of all of us. So this, then it's like the like anything which is related with the responsible publication. There are certain publication ethics that one has to follow, as rightly said by Dr. Shukla sir, that there should not be any kind of plagiarism that should be there, and there should not be any duplicate publications, so on and so forth. And there should be, whenever we are doing our research, there should be proper accuracy, there should be impartiality, there should be truthfulness in our research that we have, and there should be a lot of fairness in the data collection, in the data analysis, in the whenever we are writing the results also, or writing the reports also. And we have to ensure that we have to protect the human kind, and in no manner the human or the status of the society, it should get defeated, or it should be dent, or it should be marred. And it is all the responsibility of our individual researchers that we have to be very, very careful that we should follow the norms of the society, the culture, the customs, the values, the models. They all have to be kept in place. And as far as the confidentiality is kept, it could be the days, your maybe anything related with the income level, anything related with the personal experiences, the procedure, the purpose. It all has to be rightly confirmed. And definitely, if somebody says that okay, you should not disclose its data to somebody, so that means that we should not disclose that data to somebody. But prior to collecting the data, you have to apprise them that what is the purpose of our collection of the data. And above all, we should not discriminate anybody in our research on the basis of the age, sex, or on the basis of the demographic factors. So it's like the discrimination, if as soon as the discrimination comes, so discrimination itself is one of the unethical behavior patterns. Then one has to be open. We need to get the feedback. We should be very careful that we do not infringe in anybody's IPR. We should do justice, that that everyone is treated equally, and no special criteria is kept for more of the people. Then in the case of again, one of the broadly is like minimizing the risk of harm. We should not bodily harm, physical, mental, psychological. We have to be very, very careful that we do not have to do such kind of harm when we are doing our research. We should not ask any question that can actually hurt people mentally, or physically, or socially. So that is very, very essential. Then what is more important is that there has to be an informed consent. before taking any data in our research, the person should know what are the reason, objective, what is the objective, where the research will be used, how is it going to be published, who are the people who are going to get the knowledge about all this. So they have to be kept informed very nicely. Then we have to protect the anonymity and the confidentiality. Anonymity is something where we do not reveal the name of the person, we do not reveal the caste, age, sex, demographics. So at times, there can be some kind of demarcation or transparencies issues that they can be. So we have to be very, very careful that we do not make any derogatory remarks to anybody on the basis of their demographics. And of course, the confidentiality has to be kept. Then again, we have to avoid the misleading practices. Now, misleading practices, that I told you, in the professional world or in the business world, these companies, they're giving us the false advertisements, and those advertisements are actually not true enough. So that is again one of the unethical activities that are being done by the company. So we have to avoid anything which is false, anything which is fabricated, anything which is giving a wrong impression about the company, wrong promises, false promises to the people. So we have to avoid whenever we are doing any kind of research. And then of course, every respondent in the research has a right to withdraw himself from giving us the data. There is no duress, there is no compulsion on anyone to give us the data. The data is being given to us by the respondent as their free will. Then, as I already discussed about this vulnerable group of people, we have to be very doubly cautious when we are taking any data from such students. For example, like mentally retarded people, or maybe very old age people, or people who have been the victims of any highest crimes, sedated or ill or incapacity, poor, so on and so forth. We have to be quite sensitive towards them. So, as a researcher in our research field, we have to be very, very careful that, we should be very, very careful what is our research, who will be our respondents, what kind of questions we will be asking, not to offend them. We have to be honest, we have to be very clear, we have to be very, very justice, and we have to inform them about the entire thing. They should not feel cheated. Oh, they just took away the information from us, which I never wanted to give it to them. Then, in the case of informed consent, also there could be the consent can come before the starting of your research work, at the beginning of your research work, or during your research work. So in all these phases, it is important that people are informed what you are actually doing, what risk factors I will be faced to, or where my data will be used, or how this data is going to be utilized by the other one. So all these things, they should be very, very well aware about the risk or the expected benefits. This is important. What benefit I'm going to get if I diverge this data, or if I give the data, what benefit are we going to get? So we can tell them, okay, we are from the government organization and we are doing such an research. So if you give us the data, it can go up to the higher authorities and the proper action can be taken by them. So basically, once we have this research ethics, again, it says that, it promotes the aim of the research. Our objective is only achieved when we do not offend people. We follow the different ethical principles also, and we have to ensure that a person's duty is not in conflict. So those are the personal aim of the research could be. And it could be something which increases the trust among the researcher and the respondent. Maybe it's not necessary that only the research is conducted once. It can be over the period of time that you're doing the same research, or finding the before and after impact. So people from the medical background, they can well empathize with me that, like before giving a dose and after giving the dose, how has been the reactions. So definitely, advantage of research ethics is that with our personal branding is done. There is no dent on the company or institutional name, and all those stakeholders who are part of our research, they are not getting affected in any manner. So our basically values, our moral values, our ethical values, our normative values, whatever name you want to call them, we have to follow those things, because the for example, if I talk about integrity, so integrity is something which actually comes from within. So you're keeping your promises, you're not doing anything which is against the society. And one of the best ways to avoid any kind of academic misconduct is, again, where we can ensure the policies. Our supervisors can be well aware about the ethics that one has to follow. We can actually tell them what is actually expected, or communicate our expectations. And then, as a organization, as a group, we can identify our strengths and tell them people. So why are we committing any kind of misconduct? The reason is very simple. In our academia, it can be because of the publication pressure, it can be because of the academic pressure that we have, or it could be because of your personal desire. No, I have to do ethics, but I have to do research, but I will not follow the ethics. So it could be because of your personal gains or the financial gains, or maybe at times people are innocently they are committing such kind of mistakes. So there can be number of reasons as to why we are committing scientific misconduct. In the case of limitation of research ethics, at times we do anything which is unintentional, or we at times we do not feel that people have suffered, but they have actually suffered, maybe because of your method of your research, or maybe because of your behavior, or maybe anything which has an impact on your health also. So how can we ensure ethics at different steps of research? Is like, we need to collect the data. We have to identify the ethical matters. Is it right? Is it wrong? Is it professionally correct? It is legally correct? Is it the personal ethics are there? I'm not violating anything that can land me into legitimate actions by the authorities. All these questions, they have to be actually answered by the researcher before we go ahead. And then the stakeholders, again, it could be no it could be different for different people from diverse group. And then we have to understand that there has to be the principle of right and justice. What is right, what is wrong? And we have to ensure that nothing is coming in our way. For example, there are a lot of, at times there can be a lot of political disagreements, lot of political parties, they jump into it. So ethically, it is not correct. So that was just an example I was giving. So once we are doing research in our steps, so whether it is during before starting of this research, or during the research, or during the compilation of your result analysis, we have to be very, very careful that we do not perform any action that can prove detrimental to the interest of the your researcher, as well as the different stakeholders. So another way of looking at research ethic is looking at unethical research conduct. Like for cheating, we are withholding certain information, and something you're doing which you're putting something on papers which you have actually not conducted. You're rewriting the findings, you are giving the outcomes of the experiments, but the experiments have not been conducted. So this is something which is unethical research conduct that we have. And then there is no objectivity, there is no integrity in the data. There's falsification or fabrication. If you wanted to show that there's a surplus of 10,000 rupees, but you have shown the surplus by just adding 101 lakh rupees. So this is something which is unethical. And of course, following the actions for the authorship of the publication, who has done work, who has not done work. Then we are not right, we are not adhering to the right of privacy. You made some promise, but you did not keep up to your promise of privacy and the confidentiality. You have been not respectful towards the vulnerable group of people, as I have told you, people who are poor, people who are minority groups. You have now not shown sympathy towards these people while doing your research. You have duped them, you have falsified them, you made false promises to them. So that would also be a kind of an unethical research. And of course, not having consideration towards the environment as well. So anyways, when there is a plagiarism or embezzlement of the ideas, so there would be lot of problems. So these are, whether it's a falsification, whether it's a fabrication, both of them, they would be a part of your unethical behavior. So as a researcher, we have to very, very careful that we do not falsify anything. Falsify basically means you're writing the answers, or you're writing the observation, but you never conducted those those experiments. Then there is a fraud. You wanted to cheat intentionally. You wanted to get funds from any organization or from institution, or you're writing a paper for the purpose of getting rewards. So those things are not a part of our ethical behavior. And then of course inappropriate authorship, that like we have to acknowledge the work in case if you're citing the work of somebody in your research. So ethically it is important that you either take permission from them, or in your references you make as a note that okay, you have picked up this diagram or a chart or a data from so and so people. So definitely anything which is fraudulent enough or anything which cannot be validated, they are a part of your unethical behavior. Now I'm almost ending my presentation, but this is very, very essential that what are the things that actually lead us to the unethical behavior for a researcher. It could be ignorance. For a person who's new to the teaching fraternity or new to the research world, they may be doing anything which they were not aware of. Okay, I was not aware of that I should actually do this. So maybe the company, big companies, they cannot fabricate that. Oh, I was not aware that I was making a false advertisement. So they at that point of time, the ignorance would not come at all. Then for example, there can be different examples. I'm not aware how I should do it, but I have done it and I have submitted my work. So that kind of ignorance can come. Then should be very, very essential that the policies and the standards, they should be told to the people, whether the research scholars, whether the supervisors or the students. And before anybody moves ahead with, they have a crystal clear view of what is expected, what is not expected, and what are the guidelines that one has to follow in terms of loyalty, in terms of honesty, in terms of respect, or maybe in terms of fairness, so on and so forth. So basically, when we have this research ethics, it could be in form of our respect, beneficence, and the respect justice that we have. So we already know that we should have respect for the participants, for the sponsors, or the communities. These are known as the stakeholders. Justice, that we should not take benefit of the vulnerable group of people. They should be well aware about the risk and the benefits. And the beneficence is basically that the whosoever our respondents are, the researcher is responsible for mental, physical, and social well-being. We should not ask anything which can hurt the respondents. We should not get physical, we should not beat them, or threaten them or coerce them to give the responses. So this is one of the basic principles of research ethics that we have to follow. And then we should have respect. This is the side that I just discussed, that we should have respect for the stakeholders, beneficiaries. That is like we should not make any harm to them in terms of physical, moral, psychological. There should not be any kind of harm that we should do, and it should be just, that everyone has to be treated fairly. And my dear friends, again in the inverted comma, it is very essential that we have to be careful enough about the vulnerable group of people whenever we are doing any kind of research. So there have been different codes and different declarations that have been done related with the codes. I'm not going deep into it as we are running short of time. And they can be, there were different codes in the medical field also that were adopted for the purpose of the research ethics. So definitely, whenever your research goes to any of the committee, they would be looking forward for these things. For example, whether you have the respect and dignity of the participants, whether there was an informed consent, whether you asked them, whether you told them, whether the data is right, no fabrication, no falsification, there is integrity, there is privacy, there is confidentiality. All those things, they are responsible. And then, of course, people who are our participants, they are well aware about the benefits and the risks that they are exposed to. And then the committee would also be taking into consideration about the subject, how you have collected your data. There is no undue pressure or conflict of interest. Undue pressure is basically you're dominating. So for example, if there's a relationship of a master and a servant, so definitely there would be some kind of undue pressure on the servant by the master. So those things, they should not come when you are giving or disclosing any kind of data. And as I have been reiterating, that there should be proper consideration related with the vulnerable group of people. So whenever we are doing any research, and we expect that it should go through the ethical clearance, so we have to follow all these points that we have just discussed related with the dignity, confidentiality, benefits and risk. And we have to be very, very careful that, the vulnerable group of people, they are not getting hurt in any manner. So ideally we should not be unethical in our research in terms of our greed, anger, jealousy, ego, fear, hatred, laziness. These are all our personal attributes that they have to be kept at bay. And in terms of our research, we have to be very careful that, we should not cheat, fabricate, falsify, or secrecy, confidentiality, vulnerability. So that were there. They were the few ethics which I wanted to put it across to you. So with these words, I would like to close my presentation. That it says that an educated person is a person who has learned to learn and change. So, my dear friends, so even if we, no matter how rigorous researchers we are, and even if we know certain things, but again, we can go through them and bring it in our own personality, that these people, they should not be, we should follow all the ethical principles as a research scholar, as a researcher, as a supervisor. And in case if we are doing anything wrong, so we can always change ourselves so that we do not land in any trouble. So it says that make excellence a habit. So how far you can go. So my best wishes to each one of you. And here are my few big books which are in the market. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a wonderful afternoon today. So the ball is in your court to decide what is ethical and what is unethical, what is right, what is wrong. So whether it's in our personal life, professional life, business life, or in our research life, especially, what are the right ways of doing research? It's all up to you. Thank you so much.